I'll tell you all about myself while we wait for some people to file in. So I'm Jane from JanePlaysMagic. I've been a magic creator for about a year now. I've been doing professional content creation online for about 10 years though. And additional credit, I am a marketing strategist and a consultant to operations. So today I'm going to talk about the 3 phases of production. There we go. Okay. The pre-production, the active production, and then post-production, and how to keep those 3 phases organized. There's quite a bit of work in each of the phases, and they all sort of require a different skill set, and, this job is 10 jobs rolled into one. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. There's a way you can raise your hand in here. We'll figure it out together. I believe in us. Okay. So for pre-production, this kind of encompasses scheduling, pod creation, making themes, all of the planning of doing magic content creation. If y'all in the chat want to answer, what kind of content do you make? Personally, I make EDH content pretty much exclusively. I'm making 4-player commander games. So that's organizing 4 people to do this and all be online and, in the zone, doing their thing at the same time, which is a lot of organizing work. I make live, spell table games, and I also make in-person games, which are both entirely different productions, entirely different skill sets, Even just the editing on them is entirely different. When I do in-person stuff, we use a 5-camera setup, so there is a lot of content that is produced. And managing those kind of huge files is a whole skill in itself. So I'll show you guys what I do for that kind of stuff. It looks like y'all make EDH plays, EDH gameplays, and podcasts. Very cool, very cool. Podcasts are a lot less media management than an in-person game. So you already have a leg up on that kind of stuff. Lore videos, ooh, that's fun. Lore videos are kind of a lot of back-end work where you're designing or writing or thinking up concepts and stuff like that. So again, a whole different production schedule, a whole different production strategy. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is emphasizing that this is just the way that I work. And if this works for you, that's great, take it. And if it doesn't, leave it. And that's just for me, so. Okay, so the first thing about pre-production, I'll show you mine, the schedule. I live and die by this thing. If I lost it, I don't know what would happen to me. This is a weekly planner. I like a weekly style. So you have space. I'll show you a blank one. You have space on this side to write everything you're doing for the week, and it has each of your days spread out. Unfortunately, the weekends are smashed into one, which those are the busiest times for people doing content creation. Kind of annoying. So if you can find one that has lots of space for the weekends too, that's great. And then on this side, it's just lined paper. So I can make notes about maybe who I'm trying to work with that week, or notes on what kind of content I produce, so that when I go back and I try to make any sort of notes about that content in the folder, then I know from here also. So this is my baby. You should have one too. Some people do it online. I'm old, so I like a paper book. Whatever works for you. A Google Calendar is great too if you work with someone else, because then you can share it with them. Okay, let's see. With this, I also wanted to talk about appearances. I organize all of my own content production, obviously, but I love appearing on other people's channels. And it's not happening if it doesn't go into the book. It doesn't exist. I will not show up there. I will not be ready. I will not have my spell table set up ready. And you want to make sure these appearances on other people's channel, while a great way to play with other creators and sort of increase community that way, they are, at the end of it, kind of a selfish thing where you are advertising yourself on this person's channel. So you want to make sure you're making a good ad. You want to make sure it's consistent with your branding. You don't have control over what someone else's stream looks like, but you have control over what your area of space looks like, what your playmat looks like, what your, I got this tip from the Steel City, Brad and Steph. They're super great, but the first time I played with them, they told me that people recognize Brad just from the pink hoodie and just from the octopus playmat that he has. And they're so cool. They're really stylistic and signature, and I'm sure you can think of a lot of creators who have this sort of signature piece that's maybe even recognizable at conventions or something like that. So I think it's really important to be able to bring to another person's channel the same quality of content that you make for your own, and have it be visually and, stylistically consistent. When Brad and Steph told me that, I immediately went and made myself a custom playmat with my logo on it, and I decided that every time I am on JanePlaysMagic, I will have the long nails, you know? It's a differentiator. It's something that not a lot of people in the community have, and it's something that I like doing, so it's easy, and I can just have the claws as a piece of Jane from JanePlaysMagic. Oh, she's crazy. She's Grixis. She's got the nails, you know? You have to have a brand, and it has to be recognizable, and you have to be able to produce that brand and produce that style and like that level of content in any appearance that you come to. So you don't want to overschedule yourself on appearances, because then you won't be as fun, and you might not have the long nails, and you might not be cute, and you know, you always want to make sure that you're delivering a good quality content for other people too, so then you don't mess up someone's stream. You don't want to be boring on someone else's stream. Okay. Next, unless anyone has any questions on that first part, I'm going to talk about batch production. Okay, so this is the way that as a content creator, I find space in my life when I need to take some time off or like not shoot every single day. Batch producing gives you space emotionally and physically here with a backlog of content. If you do all of your filming at once, say I take a week and I shoot 2 episodes a day in it, right? So that's like, I shoot 6 days, okay? So that's 12 episodes, 12 full editable, JanePlaysMagic episodes. That is so much content. That is like an entire terabyte of content with all of those cameras, all of that audio stuff. But you could do it all at once so that you don't have to keep like tearing down and setting up your whole setup. Like it's in my living room. So it's like quite a bit of work for me to get out the studio and like put all the cameras in the right spots and make sure the audio is working and all of that. And, you know, I have my lovely partner, Lanoir Ricky, who helps me with all of that stuff. There's no way this could be a one-person team. But it's just so much work that if you can batch it, then you don't have to do that labor multiple times for the same amount of content. Batching also means that you can, you know, do all your editing at once. So when you're in an editing mood and you don't want to get on and you don't want to stream and you don't want to be live, you can just log in and do a different type of work. That's really important to me personally. That's kind of why I do content creation online, because I need my schedule and my life to be a little more flexible. It means that you are not always online posting either. Like you can schedule out your YouTube content so you don't have to be online delivering every single day, because it's a ton of freaking work. Let me make sure that I press the record button. I did. Cool. I always have this big sticky note on my desk that says press record because I have missed it so many times. So anytime I'm doing magic stuff, that one goes right up. Double check. Okay. So we talked about batch production and how you can keep lots of high effort content coming out and look like you're always doing stuff online and actually live a real human person life sometimes. The third part of pre-production, the last part that we'll talk about today, is pod design. So when you are inviting people, this is kind of more for the people who are doing EDH podcasts, or not podcasts, EDH videos, instead of like solo podcasts or lore videos, because those are mostly a solo endeavor. EDH stuff requires a lot of social interaction, a lot of social scheduling and networking and kind of drafting the perfect pod to create good content. So you want to do that intentionally, and you want to think about who you're asking onto your show. You can ask your friends, your coworkers, you can ask anyone who will come, but you have to think about who will show up, right? Are those the people who you want to be on your stream? Are they creating sort of the energy, the gameplay that you want to showcase here? Like my stream focuses on like 2 to 3 gameplay, right? So we are very low intensity. We are not playing CEDH. And if I invited a CEDH person to one of my pods, they might not have a good time. My friends who are like, you know, playing 2 decks that are silly and themed might not have a good time. You have to, I know that's like a silly example, but you have to match people's energy in addition to their power level that they like to play at. Will they hang well with each other? You know, that's the energy part. Do they have good quality mic, good quality camera, good quality lighting? Are they going to be producing quality content for you? Are they bringing a deck that is fun to play? Are they going to play that board wipe in hour 2.5, you know, and everyone's just trying to log off in a few minutes? Like, we're all very conscious of the time, and this one person is going to play the board wipe, extend the game another 45 minutes. You know, you have to be able to read the room and kind of like hold back on that kind of stuff. Because when we are making content, winning is not the goal, right? The goal is creating a product that you can sell to people that they want to watch. So yeah, you have to you have to kind of be able to sacrifice your own win sometime in order to let other people shine, or just get out of the game at a reasonable hour. Okay. You also kind of have to be able to talk while other people are playing, or play while people are talking, which are separate skills. It's a lot of kind of acting and theater and like keeping up that energy with other people too, knowing when you should be talking over someone's turn. So just think about the guests that you have on and who can do that really successfully, and who can bring people, like will post you on their social media and stuff like that. You want to design your pods with that kind of stuff in mind. Okay. So active production. I'm not going to talk a ton about that because we have a bunch of people later on in the week or in the month who are going to talk about going live. Like Kurohitsuki is going to come tell us about streaming. We have GirlPod who's going to come talk about social media, right? We've got a bunch of that kind of stuff going on. So I just want to say you've got to keep it simple on the back end. When I go live, there's so many things that you're managing. So anything that you can take off your plate so you can focus more on the performing, on the energy that you're giving, on the magic that you're playing even. I make so many dumb mistakes when I'm live, y'all. It's ridiculous. You're playing for an audience. So yeah, you just have to keep that in mind. And you are okay to start small. I started with a, very, very basic, simple Twitch. Even still, I don't have all the emotes and all the everything set up. Like, that kind of stuff can come later. What's most important is creating your core audience and giving them a reason to come back. And you can do that at any production level, right? You could be doing that with just a $20 mic and a $20 camera and, just your energy. Some people just have that. And that's really cool. If you have this kind of skill, if you're a streamer, if you're a content creator, if you can talk about lore and be hilarious, you don't need all the fancy equipment when you first start. Your audience will love to grow with you. I'm about to put out my first episode with lavalier mics, it just sounds 1,000 times better than the overhead shotgun mic that we were doing earlier. But, I've made 27, 28 episodes now, and people still watch those, and that's okay. They'll be there forever, and they will always be a piece of content that I have put on the internet instead of waiting until I could get all of the right equipment and all of the right stuff and learn all of that stuff, because I never would have learned that if I wasn't making the content. I never would have learned that we needed lavalier mics and that the studio content work that I had been doing needed to be adapted for this kind of work that I was doing. So just make some crap and put it on the internet. And when you put enough of it, then it snowballs into a real audience. People will come to you and not your production level, especially if you have the online energy, because you're here. You got it. Okay. I also wanted to talk about what I do for a live production day. So when I am on stream on Saturdays, I stream from 1 to 3:30 or whatever. I chill out for a minute, and I come back to my desk, and I finish all of the promo content for the episode that I just shot. So I will, in my file folder organization system, I will put the content into the right spots. I will make a title, which means I download everybody's little Scryfall images of their commanders. I put it into Canva. I edit up a little title, and I do all of that work. I write the description. I write about what happened in the game, because if I try and do it next week, I'm not going to remember. So for me, it's really important to get that done immediately, because if I do it anytime later, it is just not going to be of the same quality. So you need to kind of know how you work here. If you are a person who can remember every game that you played 3 weeks later, you're amazing, you're incredible, and I am not you. I could never be you. I'm sorry, I'm not her. So yeah, I set aside the afternoon every time after I'm online to do this kind of stuff. I make the promo content for the previous one. I'll talk a little bit later about what exactly that entails. And I make the promo content for my next week's stream, which means 6 days ahead of time, I've got content up. I am hyping the next one. I know exactly what's happening next week. And I think this kind of reliability and consistency and continuous messaging is so important for any brand online. You go to, I don't know, Coca-Cola's TikTok or whatever, they're posting stuff every single day. And they're posting stuff around the same time. And they're posting the same kind of content around the same time. So when you build these patterns, your audience will learn them with you. And we're little monkeys, little creatures of habit. If you have a pattern for someone to fall into, they will fall into it. And it's really easy to get in there and get in a habit of every Saturday, 1 p.m., here's what I'm doing. I'm hanging out with Jane. She's always got, weird, queer little gay friends on to play Magic with. That's the energy and the consistency and the games that I'm bringing. We're doing something silly. But they know about it. They know ahead of time what's going to happen. Okay. The Trojaneer has a question. I think you can talk now.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize I could talk like that. All right, great. I had my mic set up. I just had a quick question. A lot of the stuff I'm working on takes sort of a longer turnaround period. I'm not doing like weekly podcasts or gameplay. It's more the current thing I'm working on will take me around 3 weeks to a month to finish, but it's a longer form content. What do you recommend for when it comes to sort of like hyping that up or like trying to get consistent stuff out? Because a month drought might be a bit rough. So I'm wondering what you would think to sort of fill in the gaps between. I'm thinking of short ideas. I'm just trying to figure out what to do in that intermittent space.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of ways that you can stretch your content to fill that space. My hottest tip would be to stagger it. So when you make a piece of content, make 6, 10 pieces of media from it. That can be screenshots. That can be a text post that you want to talk about it and link to this piece of content with. You said you're doing lore videos and comedy stuff. I think those really lend well to TikToks. So you can make little reels, little short form videos out of it too. And if you have 10 pieces of content, the first week that it comes out, schedule 3 of those pieces of content. The next week, schedule 1. Wait 2 weeks, schedule another. Wait 2 weeks more, schedule another one. And just like that, you have created a content plan that goes 2 months into the future. And so as you create more content, you build this stack that goes 2 months into the future. And suddenly you've got 4 posts a day about 4 different pieces of your content. And it's all different, it's all new, it's all interesting, and it's all directly related to a piece of your content that they can then click on and go watch.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Rad. Cool. Does anyone else want to talk about something? Okay. I think if you don't want to stay on the stage with your mic live, you can go back down. Should I push you back down?
I see that.
Yeah. You're welcome to come back up. Anyone who wants to talk, please just make a little request and I can let you up to talk. Okay. I'm going to move to post-production unless anyone has any production questions. I know we're all making such different content. I don't know how helpful it would be. Maybe in the future I'll do a specific one about like making live or making in-person EDH content because there's a lot of equipment stuff to do with that. But right now I'm going to move along to the majority of what I'm going to talk about today, which is post-production. This is the boring stuff. This is kind of what I was talking about, all of that future scheduling, all of that, like making the little pieces of content out of your main content. You've made this beautiful piece of art, 20-minute lore video, which is incredible and hilarious, but no one is ever going to see it unless you tell them 1,000 times. On average, it takes like 7 to 10 times of somebody seeing you to remember who you are at all. And then it takes maybe 10 to 20 times of them seeing your content and wanting to engage with it before they actually click on it, before they actually take the step to go to your profile and check out what else you're making, before they actually take the step to subscribe, If you can make one amazing piece of content and you get tons of new eyeballs on it, that's really great. But they need to see more content from you before they're going to start being really invested and really engaged. And that's when you have a good audience member, someone who's going to come to your Discord and chat, someone who is really engaged with the content that you're making. Okay. So I showed you all my little personal schedule book, my weekly planner. I also have a monthly planner. And this is where I put the content schedule. I won't show you all close up because I schedule all my content on there. It's a little spicy. But basically what I put on there is every single day that I am putting out a magic video, right, which I do twice a week now, I have a little post there. And then the next day I have a little mark that I've made a post about that piece of content. And then the next week, the next 2 weeks, I mark it physically on my calendar so you can see like months in advance. I've got stuff marked, right? And it just builds up really fast when you do it that way. I think most marketing teams have this sort of schedule thing, and you kind of have to start thinking of yourself as a marketing team now because you are marketing the content that you're creating. So you have to be really fucking organized about it, and it sucks. Okay. Let me see if I can show you my screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Screen 2. Okay. Y'all can see that? I can't. I'm trusting, and someone will tell me if that is not the case. Okay, so this is one of my episodes that I've put out recently, and this is the organization that I've got. So I've got the raw footage, right? This is all of the mics, this is all of the cameras, all of that stuff. My editor deals with that, thankfully. I just deal with this stuff. So I have everybody's pronouns and info and their tag from my editor to go put it up. I think you can see that there. That's just that info. And then I also have a description in here. And this has a title for the content. This has links for people's stuff for the content. It has info for the commanders. It has a little blurb about the video itself. It has links to my Patreon. It has links to my Mox field. It has links to my Discord, my wish list, all of that kind of stuff. And this is, I think, really, really important if you ever want to be able to hand your content off to somebody else to post, if you want to hire an assistant at any point in the future to do this kind of stuff for you. Keeping your content library extremely organized like this is going to help them when they are going to tag content. They'll know what hashtags to put, whatever the commander names are, without having to click into the video and spend 20 minutes figuring all of that out, writing it on a notebook, translating that up here. You have already done and organized that work for them, so that that's not additional labor that you have to deal with. So I have, this is just a YouTube video. This is a produced video, not a live. So I have the HD version. I have the info. I have the description. I also have some screenshots. This also has the commanders that I used for the promo content. So I just take, maybe 10 screenshots from the video, and these are all posts that I make on Bluesky or on X or wherever you're posting your magic content lately. These aren't really great for Instagram because they're in the wide format, but they're really good for anywhere that likes a wide format post. It's just another piece of filler content. You can talk about whatever's on, the magic card that's up on the screen right now. You can talk about a crazy play from this game. You can tag everybody and, wow, do you remember this wild game? So that's just ways to create engagement there. I also have from every piece of content, TikToks. This is the most grueling part of content creation, in my opinion, and it's turning your incredible 2-hour-long, casual hangout game into 4 60-second or less digestible tiny sound bites to try and sell it. It's soul-crushing. There is no good AI way to do it. It is extremely labor-intensive, and you have to put the titles or the text over the video. And there are AI tools to do it, but then you spend almost as much time editing the typos and the different words that AI missed and stuff, because AI does not play Magic and does not know about demon names or things like that. And you have a very difficult time engaging with AI tools in this way because Magic content is so specific, and it's so... I don't know, it's like a skill, right? And AI doesn't understand how to edit something that is complex and, kind of narratively driven in this way, in any good way. So you have to watch your own content, write down little moments that funny things happened or someone was loud or something that TikTok you think will like, or even make a sketch out of a boring scene where people are just talking or someone cast a 6-mana spell. It's not always easy. It's sometimes very difficult to squeeze the TikToks out of this. But I wanted to show you my spell table ones also before I close this up. So here's my most recent spell table one. We're working on it. We'll figure out if we get there. But I wanted to show you the content that I keep in the spell table one as well. Whoop. Okay. Well, maybe that's not going to happen. There we are. Okay. So this is a live game. Close that. So in here I have the promo that I made for the live game. I make a square one. You can see that. And I also make a Instagram shaped one, which is this kind of taller one. And this one has the date and the link and everyone's info and what we're doing, which is EDH Chaos Cast. And those get posted ahead of time. This is me hyping the live. And then in here, I download everybody's pictures. I download everybody's info, all of the commanders that they were playing. I have my own stuff. Like, here's my selfies from the day of, so I can have one for the title, which my live titles look like this. So it's not actually any gameplay because I think the spell table screen looks really boring, and I'm doing my best to try and make it interesting. I'm only putting 2 big words across the title and then the little magic card names. Is it a perfect YouTube title? No. I'm sure I'll get a better system later on, but it's great for right now. And I've got, you can see the descriptions. This one I have everybody's Moxfield links for their decks and stuff like that too. So it's all in there. It's all extremely organized. And if I just wanted to send it off to somebody, they could make a post about one of these screenshots. They could look and see, oh, here's Academy Manufacturer on the board. Like, that's a crazy card. Let's talk about that. So this stuff is really kind of idiot-proofed and future-proofed for whatever you are going to need it for. Stop streaming. Okay, any questions about like the file folder organizations, the sort of physical pieces of how to organize this content? Okay. Yeah, my hottest tip for this section is just write your descriptions before you forget what happened in the game, because otherwise they're going to be really bad and boring and short. It can sit on the shelf forever until you are ready to publish that content. But if you have the little YouTube blurb and all of that kind of stuff already, it is so easy to publish it when you're ready to make it live. And you should be scheduling stuff. Oh my God, you should be scheduling stuff. For Bluesky, I schedule stuff using Buffer. You can have one account free, I think. I have 2, so I pay them. I think it's a really reasonable fee. I think Buffer is incredible. It is one of the tools that has really skyrocketed my Bluesky engagement, which we just hit 1,000 followers today, so yay. Tiny victory. If you are on Instagram, scheduling ahead of time is possible using business.facebook.com, I think it is. You could Google that. Business Facebook. I think it's business.facebook.com, but it's free. It's not perfect, but you can make reels, you can make stories, you can schedule all of this on there. It's so freeing to have your social media stuff scheduled ahead of time. And that way, if you want to take 3 days and not engage with the internet, I think that's really healthy and important to be able to do. And you can watch your income tank if you're a content creator trying to do that. So it's important to have strategies to give yourself space. For me, that's the batch production. That is the scheduling ahead of time tools. And if you are the kind of person who doesn't want to die a little inside reading the comments on your Instagram every day, then I am so happy for you. But I cannot log onto Instagram, the website, every single day of my life. I will die. Okay. So here are the things that I make for every live. I make the 2 advertising images, one in the Instagram ratio and one in a square ratio. Those can post everywhere. I have one that goes 6 days before I go live. I have one that goes 3 days before I go live that explains the kind of game that we're going to be playing. So it explains the rules for Secret Partners or Chaos Cast, or whatever kind of mini game I've got going on. And then I have one that goes live the day of, and I have one that goes live the exact minute that I am up and live. So that when I am getting ready, there's not that obstacle in the way for me going online. I'm great at making excuses for why I shouldn't go online, so I try and eliminate all of them ahead of time, which is very annoying because then when you are the person who has to still go live and doesn't have an excuse, you still have to do it. But I think that consistency is what makes Magic content creation really cool, and what makes you stand out as a creator. People can form those habits around you because you are dependable in this way. You don't want to be a stressful or chaotic force in people's lives. You want to be incredibly dependable, you want to be reliable, and you want to give them the same emotional feelings every time they come to see you. Whatever that is, whatever feeling you want to evoke. Okay. So for every live, I've got the social posts. 3 to 5 of them, including the automated post that goes out live right when I'm up. Yes, okay. I also take selfies from the day of. And I think even if you are not, a creator on the internet or whatever, and you don't really want to put your face on, you need some version of you to put up, a VTuber, something. People need to form an emotional attachment to a creature because we are those little monkeys, Content creation is really appealing more to the id instead of the rational ego, People form those sort of what do you call it, parasocial relationships, not based on logic. You know, they respond to a feeling with you. And you want to know what that feeling is and know how to create it when you aren't feeling it. And that sucks. You know, that's why you have to have the backlog of content. So when you can't make that feeling right now, you can be offline. And that's really viable, really valid, and like a necessary need for being a human. Okay. But yeah, you're the clown. You should post a selfie of yourself. Even if you don't think you look cute, whatever. People love you. You look cute. I'm going on record as saying you look cute and you should post it. Okay. You also need a title card for YouTube. Something that you've designed, right? I showed you my one for spell tables. You need a description, including links to people, links to the deck lists, so that you can just copy paste it, so that you don't have to do this labor over again. You need 3 to 5 posts that will advertise the VOD once it's already posted. So for me, that's my screenshots from the game. That is, you know, maybe I took a picture with my phone of a crazy little infinite token that I made or something like that. I like to have 3 to 5 ways to re-advertise, re-talk about, regurgitate what happened in this video, find another way to get more eyeballs on it. Because you've got this beautiful piece of content, but no one will see it if you don't make the social media posts and don't do the advertising and marketing part for it. And then I also have automated posts in my Discord for when I go live and when I post a video on YouTube or TikTok. I think this is a really valuable resource that maybe people don't realize is go look at fellow content creators and what they are doing. So I found out about this cool bot that's in Discord that's called MTG Bot, that if you type in a card name in brackets, it will pop up the info for the card and a little picture of it and stuff. And I never would have found out about that unless I had gone into someone else's creator Discord and hung out and like been a part of their community. And I know most of you know this, you know, we're all a part of the big magic community, but sometimes it's important to know that you're allowed to steal that. Go put that bot in your own server too, because it's rad as hell. MTG Bot, it's cool. My server is public, so anyone who wants to could come in and can look at all of the bots that I've got going. I have a whole channel just for bots to post my content for me automatically, so that I don't ever have to think about that. I know, like, the Lobby Pristine has a great version of this too, where every creator's content that posts and all of their Twitches going live give you a little notification. Love that. I think it's really important to give your audience easy ways to be engaged. Okay. Things that I make for every edited video. So this is stuff that isn't ever going on Twitch and that I'm not making live and is produced content, and I have lots of time to make it. Well, you know, theoretically, I have lots of time to make it. So I make the title card. I think I talked about earlier, YouTube title cards should have maybe 1-2 words max. You are speaking a visual language while people are scrolling, and you need to make your shit clickable, interesting. Your description, which includes the links to all the people, their pronouns, their info, their commanders, all of that. Again, 3 to 5 posts advertising the video, including one that goes right when it goes live. So I'm talking about hyping up, I've got this crazy video coming out, I've got everyone playing Doctor Who commanders or whatever. I'm talking about it as if we have just filmed it, as if it is fresh in my mind, and I have made these posts 6 months ago. So it was fresh in my mind when I made these posts. And then when someone goes and engages with that, I'm like, oh yeah, I did play a Doctor Who game. That was fucking crazy. And I could go talk to them about it now. But I don't have to be in that mindset, you know, when I'm not playing that Doctor Who game. And that was, you know, many months ago with my friends who don't even live in this country anymore. So, okay. So you've got your pre-advertising, and then you need your post-advertising, which is, again, another 3 to 5 TikToks, another 3 to 5 little vertical videos from the content. I like these adapted for vertical so that you can post them on Instagram, and I like them to have the text overlay. I think that's really important for engagement. Again, you all know this. You already post stuff on TikTok and Instagram. You know what drives these engagement pieces. It's just helpful review, I guess. Okay. These, for me, get posted kind of piecemeal on TikTok because TikTok really rewards you for posting live. There is no very efficient way to schedule that content, unfortunately. If somebody knows the way, hit me up because I want to know. I need to be on the in on that. But Buffer is not doing it effectively yet. And when you post something on TikTok that isn't live, in the same way that when you post a reel that isn't live, Instagram doesn't quite publish it in the same way. I don't know how they know. There's something in the API or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a tech person, but they do know. And posting live gets you more views. I hate it, but that's where it is. So every single day I have an alarm that goes off at 1 p.m. and I'd say about 50% of the time I am free, and that's a time that is good for me, and I can go on my phone and make a TikTok post. I post it on YouTube Shorts, I post it on TikTok, I post it on Instagram Reels, I post it on Bluesky, I post it to my mom, I don't know, everywhere you can think of to go post it. But yeah, I think that's really important for engagement, to do it live, unfortunately. You can have your text and stuff pre-written so that it's just an easy post, the same as your YouTube videos, but YouTube doesn't care if you post it scheduled ahead of time. Unfortunate reality. Okay, has anybody got any questions? I'm dumping information on you, y'all. Okay. Bonus question, bonus segment. Are you ready for this? I think these are good questions to ask yourself, and they are not, there's no wrong answer to them. I just want to say, it's okay to make content for anybody. But me, when I am creating content, I want to make sure that I feature lots of different types of people. So when I look at my pods, I ask myself, is my pod all men? Is my pod all white? Is my pod all cis people? Did I invite anybody other than cis white men to this pod? Did I craft it with that in mind, or do I engage with other creators who aren't white cis men? Big question. I know. Do you have mutuals who are not white cis men? Big question. Think about that. You don't have to answer. We don't have to talk about this publicly, but it's just something to think about. When you are creating community, you should do it with intention. And the people who you ask to be on your show are the kind of people who will want to hang out in your channel. And for me, I want that to be gay as hell. So that's what's up with my pods. Yeah. Do you provide the kind of space where women and people of color and queer people are comfortable playing? Big question. I don't know. People ask me a lot how to get women at the table, and the answer is, did you ask any women to come to the table? You have to ask them. The same way that you do for your friends. And I don't know. I play with so many people who I don't really know, who I've just engaged with online. I'm very social. I'm very, forward with that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to, make space for that kind of question in your pre-production, your post-production, the way that you talk about stuff, The second answer for how to get women to your table is to make a space that they will want to come to, Do the women at your table feel like the token minority that you've asked on? Do they feel like a member of your community and like a valued part of the kind of stuff that you're doing? Does your pod sexualize them, mansplain at them, misgender them, judge them in any way, And importantly, how will you handle it if that happens when you're live? Are you equipped with the skills to deal with that in a way that doesn't further tokenize the person who is online? Because you want to keep your guests safe. You want to think about these things ahead of time. And, we all make mistakes, but it's important to think about it and be prepared and just be conscious of the kind of energy that you're putting out with your content. Okay, y'all.